जय ओम शिवात परमहंस परिवार तुलसी श्री महद अभाय चारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। इसकान फाउंडर श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। गौरी वैष्णविंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से हो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री बांसुरी गौर भक्तबिंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा माधव गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधाकांत गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन श्री मथुरा धाम की जय। श्री नवदीप मायापुर धाम की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ पुरी धाम की गंगामाई जमुनामाई की जय। तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय। संग वेद भक्त वृंद की जय। हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्रीमद् भागवत धाम की जय। जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees, glories to the assembled devotees, glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru Gauranga, glories to Sri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. On this day of Ras Purnima, we are reading from Sri Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 33, entitled The Rasa Dance, text number 19. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kritva tavantam atmanam. Kritva tavantam atmanam. Yavatir gopayoshitaham. Yavatir gopayoshitaham. Remisa bhagavam stabir. Rimesa Bhagavan Stabir Atmaramo Pililaya Atmaramo Pililaya Kritva Tavantam Atmanam Yavatir Gopayoshitaha Vimesa Bhagavan Stabir Atmaramo Pililaya Kritva Tavantam Atmanam Yavatir Gopayoshita Vimesa Bhagavan Stabir Atmaramo Pililaya Kritva, making. Tavanam, expanded that many times. Atmanam, himself. Yavati, as many as. Gopayoshitaha, cowherd women. Rimi, enjoyed. Saha, he. Bhagavan, the Supreme Lord. Tabihi, with them. Atma Aramaha, self-satisfied. Api, although. Lilaya, as a pastime. Translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Expanding himself as many times as there were cowherd women to associate with, the Supreme Lord, though self-satisfied, playfully enjoyed their company. Please repeat. Expanding himself as many times as there were cowherd women to associate with, the Supreme Lord, though self-satisfied, playfully enjoyed their company. Purport. As Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti points out, it has already been explained that Lord Krishna is eternally free from all material desire, perfect on the platform of spiritual self-realization. And the purport. This is a sloka they gave. Om Agyanantanandasya Agyanan Gyanansalakaya Chakshurmitamna Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutare Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesha Shandavari Pasarisadharine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Translation again. Expanded himself as many times as there were cowherd women to associate with, the Supreme Lord, though self-satisfied, playfully enjoyed their company. So these wonderful pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, mentioned here that here the Lord is Atmarama. He is self-satisfied, but still he is engaged in enjoying the company of others. So this may seem very wonderful, or for non-devotees, it's wonderful for the devotees, but for the non-devotees, or the jnanis, yogis, etc., they may think that this is rather unusual, because generally their goal is self-satisfaction. They want to attain liberation from the state of dissatisfaction from the material kleshas. So they believe that attainment of complete satisfaction, freedom from the material iniquities, is perfection of life. Of course, it is a perfection, but it's the beginning of perfection. What do you do when you're liberated? Their philosophy doesn't encompass that. Go venture onto that realm. What do you do when you get liberated? Then what happens? So this is the activities of supremely liberated persons, and the Supreme Lord Himself, who is completely self-satisfied. So if one is self-satisfied, Atmarama, it means one is actually taking pleasure in the self, the soul, spiritual pleasure. Then why should you do anything else once you're in contact with the soul? Brahma Bhuta Poshanatmana, Krishna says, once realizing Brahman, understanding Brahman, there's no higher happiness. There's no need to look anywhere else. So you get that from within. So this is here. This is Srimad Bhagavatam has given us a esoteric look into the spiritual activities, into the spiritual world, where everyone is Atmarama there, but still there is so much activity going on. There's so much diversity is going on, and the Atmaram, or the satisfaction, or the pleasure, it's experienced in so many different ways. Rasa means different explanation, but one means to taste the pleasure, spiritual pleasure of relationship. So it needs to actually experience the different diversities of rasa, to experience this Brahman, the happiness of Brahman, in a variety of ways. Then there is diversity in the spiritual world. So rasa means to experience that happiness in a different variety of ways, which means service, relationships, which means service, servitor and the servitor. So here this is the pinnacle of the enjoyment of the Lord, the rasa dance. This is in the Shringa ras, the conjugal ras of Krishna, which is considered the pinnacle of all the rasas, because it within this Shringa ras, it contains all of the other rasas, as was we could see in this in this pastime of the rasa dance, where the gopis treated Krishna as a supreme Lord, as an equal, and all those different relationships came up during this whole pastime. It's a long pastime. It begins when this Purnima, or this month. This is the Sharad month, Sharad Purnima. It's supposed to be the brightest moon of the year. You can have a look tonight. It's a very exceptional moon, best moon of the year, they say. In Vrindavan, they observe this festival on the last Purnima. But here in Bengal, they observe it on this Purnima coming today. So there'll be many thousands of people coming for the next 2 or 3 days. Local people, the big festival here in Navadip. Yeah, so when that full moon nights came, and Krishna, seeing the beauty of the forest of Vrindavan, he decided to enjoy his amorous pastimes. So that is although Krishna's Atmarama, then he needs his devotees to make rasa. Then it means two or more, in this case millions or billions, more exaltation. The more the devotees there, more participants, and the more exaltation, the more rasa. So then Krishna, being who he is, he has hundreds and millions of gopis, it says. You can't count. He's a supreme enjoyer, so he shows how to enjoy supremely. No one can actually compare with this. The amount of gopis that he enjoys with, and the amount of time he enjoys with, is unthinkable, unparalleled. He's actually the supreme enjoyer. So he's showing here in this wonderful pastime. So then he'll blow on his flute. So it's a Vrindavan. in the spiritual world, everything has personality. So the ambience of Vrindavan, it's there, and it's although the creatures moving and non-moving in Vrindavan, they contribute, and Krishna actually needs them to bring out the this to have the excellence of the rasa there in Vrindavan. Only Vrindavan that can be actually performed properly, because that's the perfect ambience for it. So Krishna is dependent on that Vrindavan, on the atmosphere of Vrindavan. So understanding Krishna's moods and desires, and Yogamaya, she arranges the moon to be especially attractive, and the reflection on the leaves and the plants of Vrindavan is especially nice, and the breezes carrying the aroma of the different flowers. All the flowers put out their best scents and their best colors, even at night. Everything puts on it does its best. So then it's a perfect atmosphere is there. So this excites Krishna's senses, invokes these different moods in Krishna. So then he's calling for his devotees, the young girls of Vrindavan, and he calls them by his flute. The gopis immediately respond by hearing his flute, because they're always Krishna conscious, they're always thinking conscious that Krishna is how to serve Krishna, and when will they meet Krishna again, and how to render service to him. So as soon as they hear that message coming via his flute, they understand Krishna would like to come and would like us to come and enjoy us. So immediately they give up everything, whatever they're doing. It is mentioned here in the Bhagavatam. They're cooking, they go. They're boiling milk, they don't even take the pot off the fire, they just go. They're feeding babies, they put them down. They're doing other household duties, they stop. They're putting their makeup on, they stop. They go to Krishna, even they're not made up properly, dressed properly. So just think of the love that they have for Krishna was so great that they just immediately stopped anything they were doing. That means Krishna is more important than anything. So this is the standard of Krishna consciousness. We can ask ourselves, what's more important, Krishna's pleasure or my pleasure? So we find that Krishna's pleasure is not always priority. That's why we're not pure unalloyed devotees. We have our own priorities, our own commitments, our own duties. But even though these gopis had those, they just dropped everything, and they came to Krishna immediately. So this is a standard, without thinking of any consequence that may happen, because they were young girls, so some of them were checked by their relatives, by their brothers, by their fathers, by their husbands, some of them. They were actually forcibly checked, and they couldn't actually attend this dance. But just see the desire for Krishna's pleasure was so important to them. It was more important than their own reputation, which Krishna appreciated for that. You've given up. I cannot repay your spotless character. You've given up all these religious duties, which is very difficult to do, especially for a young woman. These gopis that were checked, they weren't the Nityasiddha gopis, because when Krishna appears here in the material world, then the Dham manifests. Dham becomes manifest here, so that he doesn't have to act in the material energy. So his Dham is already here waiting for him. And then he sends these devotees, elder devotees, they come mother, father, etc., they come before him, then he appears with his own age group, then others come later. So the so there's not much change for Krishna. When he comes here, he just performs the same pastimes with the same people, some slight variations. So then his pastimes, his enjoyment is unhindered. He's just carrying on. It's just transported from there to here. This is for the pleasure of his devotees. Krishna, his devotees are feeling great separation from Krishna, so therefore he comes to relieve that burning of separation. He comes to establish religious principles, and he comes to stamp out the irreligion or demons. So that's the reasons that he actually he comes here. But his pastime doesn't stop. He doesn't. It's not work for him. Everything is play. Everything is lila for him. So then, those by performing these pastimes, and by people seeing these pastimes, this prakat lila, it's actually visible. Anyone can see who's fortunate enough to take their birth and be around at that time. They're able actually to appreciate these pastimes of Krishna. They're actually able to appreciate the spiritual world. And the more favorable they are to Krishna, or the more love they have for Krishna, then to the greater degree that reality is manifest to them. Because some people see Krishna and still they retain their envy of him, Kamsa and Shishupal, etc. Of course, they get spirituality anyway. They get liberated. But for those who are favorable for Krishna, then they can actually see reality in three-dimensional. They can see what the real life is. So once they see them, then they're not interested in trying to interact with the material facade, or material existence of trying to be a society, friendship and love, eating, sleeping, mating, defending, trying to be satisfied and happy in this very harsh environment of the material energy. It's that's difficult to do anything, full of force, full of obstacles. So then Krishna shows what it's like another world is like, what the Vaikuntha world is like. There's no anxiety, there's no force, there's no pressure. So Krishna actually shows that, and the devotees experience that, they see that, and they can also join in. So along with the liberated souls who Krishna's eternal associates, and these other fortunate people are able to join. So these gopis that were checked, they were new gopis. They weren't from the spiritual world. They weren't the Nitya Siddha gopis. They were those that had attained perfection in the material world by their devotional practices, like the personified Vedas, Shruticharas. They were personified Vedas, obviously great self-realized personalities. And the sages at Dandakara, they're sages, they're self-realized sages. They're devotees of Krishna. They was here during Ramchandra's Leela. They saw Ramchandra, and seeing the beauty of Ramchandra evoked their love, their affection for Krishna, and they desired to have a loving relationship with Krishna. With Ram, but they couldn't express it. But Ram blessed them. In my next appearance, I will fulfill your desires. Then you can appear as gopis in your next birth. So these are some of them from these groups. So just see the perfection. I mean, they were highly qualified, self-realized people. They were actually, not anyone can enter into this Vrindavan atmosphere. One has to be extremely qualified. So they're the ones, because they still had something left, some material tinges there, they weren't allowed to go that day. And So then they were shocked. They almost died. Some it says they did. Some places said Prabhupada said they did give up their bodies, but it doesn't mean they didn't actually die. They gave up their material bodies, and they went in their spiritual bodies, or the bhava expansions. And they just closed their eyes and meditated on Krishna, and they went in the emotional body, or it is said also that Krishna may have appeared before them. They went in their rooms, in their houses. They went back into their rooms and they just meditated on Krishna because they were feeling so much pain from separation from Krishna, that Krishna is calling me for pleasure, and that is my existence. That is what existence is for. The purpose of existence is to bring Krishna pleasure, which is the great misnomer in this material world is everyone thinks that life is for my pleasure. Everything, right? Everyone thinks like that and acts like that. Life is for my pleasure, but it's not. It's for Krishna's pleasure. We're actually in the material body is awarded for suffering, because of our misuse of our independence, misuse of our love it's been misdirected. Affection is going somewhere else instead of Krishna. So therefore, the material world is there, so that can absorb our love in many different ways in the material world. It's called forgetfulness of Krishna. So it said that the separation that they felt from Krishna, because they're self-realized, they understood they have love of Krishna by this time, but it wasn't that great enough to actually attend this rasa affair, dance. That's very super intimate, and so then they felt excruciating pain, and the pain was so great. So spiritual pain also, it's not that we say that spiritual life is blissful, etc., but there's also pain there. That pain is another aspect of facet of love. The cause of the pain is love. Because of their love of Krishna, or their desire of union with Krishna is being checked, then that's the worst kind of pain. When Lord Chaitanya asked Sri Ramananda Roy what is the greatest pain, he said, I can think of no pain greater than that of separation from devotees. So what to speak of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So they felt so much pain in separation of that. They couldn't go to serve Krishna. They couldn't give Krishna their love, although he wanted it. This was horrible. And that suffering that they experienced, it burnt up all of the results of any impious activities, any residue of karma from impious activities they may have had, right? You have to suffer from your impious activities. So this suffering was so intense that it burnt out any trace of impious activities that they may have had. So it freed them from all their material bad karma. And they were and the pain was so intense that they thought there's no pain in the material world. To compare with this, there's no actual pain in the material world. So that material world, the pain in the material world became insignificant compared with the pain of separation from Krishna. In other words, there was no fear. There's no fear of the material world. It's nothing. And then now that they've been thoroughly purified by that feeling of separation from Krishna, then it says that Krishna actually appeared before them. and embrace them. Then the ecstasy they felt was so, especially after that separation. That's why it's always there. This union, separation. It's always, that's the ambience in Vrindavan. It intensifies, the separation intensifies the love, and the love intensifies the separation. The more you love someone, the more you're going to suffer when they're not there. So the more you suffer in their absence, the greater the union will be again when you meet them. So this way it's ever increasing. The love is ever increasing. The pain is ever also increasing also. They're both necessary. They don't stop. They both, they nourish each other. So when they experienced Krishna, then the happiness they felt was so intense, so great, they thought there's no happiness in the material world. Peanuts, whatever happiness, whatever you think is great or happiness in the material, nothing. Spit on it, Prabhupada said. Nothing. So, but that's when you've experienced real happiness or spiritual happiness, Krishna consciousness. Krishna says you can only give up the lower taste by experiencing the higher taste. That's what it means. So experience this taste, the taste of actually being close to Krishna, touching Krishna, smelling Krishna, feeling Krishna, hearing Krishna, and he's embracing it. Yeah? So nothing can compare with that. So, in other words, then they lost all any pious activities they had done. The result that was due for them in good karma, that was all burnt up. Because the result of your good karma, you'll experience happiness, right? But they experienced so much happiness by being with Krishna that burnt that insignificant little thing up. So in this way, they were freed from any impurities, and then they were allowed to go to the next dance. So that was the standard of the participants there. But even the ones that got to the rasa arena, so when they went there to and met Krishna, then he said, "Why have you young girls come here in the middle of the night? Dark forest is dangerous animals. You are young chase girls. It's not so good. You're very chaste. I'm also a very good brahmachari, but still the mind can never be trusted. It's actually not proper. So anyway, I really appreciate you coming, but you should go home now." So Krishna's expert in increasing loving emotions. So this is how he's increasing there. After great difficulty, they'd given up everything. And they didn't know what to do, and they were looking down and drawing half circles with their toes, and tears were falling from their eyes. They said, "Krishna, it's not proper to deal with us like this. We sacrificed everything for you." He said, "I know it is very difficult. Very, very. What you've done is very great. I can't repay." And so then after playing with them like that, then he gave up that pretense. So it brought them unlimited happiness by being with them, going with them, touching them, dancing with them, and expanded himself here, however many there were then. Krishna expanded himself that many times, and each one couldn't see the other Krishnas. They could only see the Krishna next to them. Krishna's got his arm on my arm or on my shoulder, and he's not leaving. So they became a little proud, so then Krishna disappeared little pride was there, a little something. Huh? So this is the standard of this Ras dance, right? And these are Nitya Siddhas. They got to the Ras dance, still ambience is not, the mentality is not perfect, there's something there. Krishna is a supreme enjoyer. But people were thinking, I'm so lucky, they're really enjoying, we're enjoying, so even at that stage something there. So Krishna is to increase, to get rid of that pride. There's nothing wrong with that pride, actually. they're pure, but just to increase the rasa, then Krishna disappeared. And then they were heartbroken again. Then sometimes it says that actually Radharani disappeared. When Radharani experienced that this ambience is not perfect, it could be better. Some of these gopis are proud. It's not the best. It shouldn't carry on like this. So then she left. So as soon as Radharani left, Krishna said, hey, something's wrong here. Even though there were millions of other gopis, Radharani's gone, then Krishna immediately felt the absence. So then he left to look after her. So then all the other gopis became despondent again. Then he had the pastime with Radha, and then he made her proud also. And then he disappeared from her. Then the gopis came searching for Krishna, and they found Radharani more dejected. And then they thought they could appreciate the position of Radharani. And they searched for Krishna until it got too dark. They couldn't see anything in the forest, so they didn't know what to do. It was completely... So they just became like mad, because all they knew, especially now, all they're thinking about is Krishna. They're just talking about Krishna. They're acting like Krishna. You know, one gopi will start to call the names of the cows like Krishna. They're imitating Krishna. They would imitate his various parts, just spontaneously, out of a little madness, you know. So Krishna was enjoying this, seeing what happens in that state of separation and love, how these devotees are afflicted. Sometimes I've seen in the temple, a mother will leave the little baby. She'll hide behind the column, the small child, and then the child's doing. Then suddenly he realizes his mother's not there. And then the look on his face, he's complete, distress and anxiety and fearful, and she's enjoying that. There's intense love for his mother, and just before he breaks out crying, she comes and shows herself, and he's so happy. So just imagine that Krishna's enjoying this, enjoying the emotions of all of these. What that love is causing them to do, how it's affecting them, how much love they have for me. So then Krishna appears again. Then they have this wonderful Ras dance. So Krishna says anyway, when he was apologizing to them, he said, actually, I can't repay you your spotless activities to me. He said, spotless service to me. Even if I lived a lifetime of Brahma, your connection with me is beyond reproach. You have worshipped me, cutting off all domestic ties, which are difficult to break. Therefore, please let your own glorious deeds be your compensation. I can't repay you. So, Krishna couldn't do it. They'd given up everything for him. So Krishna was indebted to that. And not only that, he was indebted 4 times. That even when Krishna, after they did all that, he didn't reciprocate with them properly. So he admitted that he couldn't do such a thing. But even then, he told them to go back home. He said, even in the suffering and the great sorrow, the gopis were very polite with their dealings with them, very honest. which Krishna is not known to be polite and honest in his dealings with the gopis. So that was another debt he had, and another debt that he had was Krishna is Rasaraj. He is the embodiment of rasa, but that rasa has to be extracted. Just like the cow has milk, but it needs a milkman to extract the rasa, to extract the milk. So Krishna Krishna can't do it alone. He's full of rasa. His body is rasa. So he needs someone to extract that rasa. So the gopis are the best ones in the Sringara Ras to extract that rasa, so that Krishna can feel unlimited bliss, different varieties of bliss which he can't do alone. So that's another debt that he owed to the gopis. And the fourth one was the gopis had they loved Krishna exclusively. They had their devotion was one-pointed. They were completely absorbed in Krishna. Nobody else. That was their love, was focused. But there's millions of gopis, so how can Krishna reciprocate? He can't give his 100% of his love to everyone at the same time. So then again he was stuck. Because Krishna promised in the Bhagavad Gita, as you surrender to me, I will reciprocate accordingly. But here Krishna finds himself stuck. So on these 4 counts, Krishna says, I can't repay you. Be satisfied with your own glorious deeds. You're greater than me. There's no comparison to you. Even I can't repay this. So then they went to on the banks of the Jamuna. The full moon was there, and everything was silver color. Everything was glistening. And they formed a circle, and they began this wonderful rasa. Krishna expanded himself. And then the demigods came to see. Demigods couldn't enter, but they could see. They're very great souls. And they were also playing musical instruments and showering flowers. And the Gandharvas was singing about the glories of Krishna. And because there were millions of gopis. So it was, and they have the gopis are expert in the 64 arts. They're really highly qualified in then they're super excellent, super qualified. You read the 64 arts, and they perfected all these 64 arts. So just singing and dancing were just some of the arts. So they would sing, and they would do different mudras, and then they would sing in harmony with Krishna, harmonize with Krishna. Krishna was singing very nicely, and then someone would harmonize above him, and Krishna would stop and say, very good, very nice. And Krishna would do some special fancy dance, and special mudras, and then they would congratulate him. Then they would do these different dances and be glorified with the ankle bells chime in and the bangles jingling. It was a great sound. The forest sounds were there. The bees were humming, and everyone was contributing to the great orchestra. The great as a musical accompaniment, and the breeze was perfect, and the aroma of all the different flowers were coming, and the beautiful gopis were moving this way, that way. And the sound was just heavenly. It was going up to the universe. And then Krishna would be dancing and putting his arm on their shoulders and resting, and they would be the same thing, and with many intimate pastimes are going on. Krishna would pass betel nuts from his mouth to the mouth of Radha. And there was all singing about mainly about the glories of Krishna and Vrindavan. And everyone in Vrindavan, everything in the forest was also joining in. So it says that Krishna was enjoying like this, just like a child enjoys playing with his own reflection in the mirror, because actually the internal energy of these are all expansions of the internal energy of Krishna, the gopi, especially the Haladini potency. So there's nothing, of course, as Srila Prabhupada gives in the Krishna book introduction to the Rasa Leela, very severe, warnings, and this is not to be imitated, not to be taken anyway materially. And he's quoting all the different acharyas that we've heard many times, that we cannot imitate these things, but we should. If you imitate them, you'll only become implicated. If you think they're material, you'll be also material desires will spring up. If you try to fulfill material desires for material happiness, then as a result, we become more attached and stay in the material longer. But if we hear about these pastimes of Krishna, although they seem like amorous pastimes between young boys and girls, we get freed from sex desire. But if we try to imitate or think for us, put ourselves in that enjoying position, then we become attached to material desires. So that this way, otherwise, why are these Sukadeva Goswami? He's given this King Parikshit. He's got 7 days to live. Why are these sages talking and hearing about this? Of course, there was a mention that Parikshit saw in the audience of these sages, some weren't actually pure devotees. So he asked that question: why Krishna, who is the come to give religious principles, act irreligiously, which is a big question that still goes on. But anyway, that question was answered then. Just for those kind of people who thought, how is this possible? Krishna, he's come here to give religious principles, but it is seemingly breaking religious principles. So then he's explained how he's not, whatever he does constitutes the highest religious principle. And whatever the gopis do constitute the highest religious principle. As the gopis told them, it's not fair the way you're talking to us. You're telling us to go be the greatest quality of a woman is chastity to a husband, etc. But our husbands, we only serve our husbands because you're the super soul in their hearts. And our families, we only love them, we only serve them because you're there. As soon as you go, then we have no interest. It's only because of you we love them. So don't try to trick us like this. So everything is Krishna, and he's expanded himself for his own enjoyment. So everything is actually to be enjoyed by Krishna. Only when we forget Krishna, then we start to create good and bad and moral and immoral. Actually, the whole Brahmanda is actually immoral. It shouldn't be here. It's based on an idea that we can enjoy separately from Krishna. So the whole anywhere throughout the universe, it's whatever's going on is from the spiritual sense is immoral, because it's not about service to Krishna. In a few places, a few areas are obviously going on, some of the higher planets, but otherwise the whole place is for immoral people. Why did we leave the spiritual world? Because we had another idea than giving Krishna pleasure. So that's immoral. So we come to this place. So the whole place is for immoral people. So the whole Brahmanda is actually immoral. But within that immorality, we decide this is permissible. This is not permissible. This is good. This is bad. This is right. This is wrong. We make all these things, but the whole thing is not very good at all. So See how intelligent the gopis were. They knew philosophy as well as being. So this is not proper you to deal with us like this. You know, you're treating us like common yogis. You know, when like Krishna wrote that letter, we're not common yogis. We're accustomed to loving you from our birth. The perfection of yoga is to surrender to Krishna. We've been loving you from birth. Why are you treating us like common yogis, giving us philosophy? Anyway, that was a great emphasis is given on that in the Bhagavatam to warn us not to take this or to make this dance, this pastime of Krishna. It's so hallowed, it's so exalted that we don't want to keep it like that. So it's only for actually liberated souls to actually appreciate it, only for pure devotees to appreciate. So all these strong warnings and precautions are given. Because Krishna here, he expanded himself as many times women. Although they're coming from his own pleasure potency, then again he expands himself to enjoy with them. So who can do that? So no one can imitate Krishna. So if you want to, you can't say it's mundane, because look what he did. It's his energy. He's playing with his own shadow, more or less. If you want to look at it philosophically. So this is how Krishna increases his enjoyment. Although he's self-satisfied, but still he wants to have different varieties of that self-satisfaction, different varieties, different levels of experience, because after all, that's what the purpose of existence, purpose of life is: experience, right? That's what we want. We want experience. So here you see the extreme experience. This is can be seen and felt in the Vrindavan. But Krishna needs this environment. He needs the environment of Vrindavan. He needs his Vijbasis to actually draw out that rasa, which is his contained within him, so that he can appreciate it. So this is the day of the ras dance we have here. This particular form. It went on for months, so we can do the 2 full months. So many thousands of people will still come. It's 5,000 years later, people are coming to observe this festival still and remember the Supreme Personality of Krishna, how he enjoys in his different ways. Jai Shri Krishna Ras Lila Ki Jai, Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Tagore Premanandi. Hare Krishna.